Yeah, according to the former Anambra State Governor, Peter Obi says Nigeria has a debt problem and not a revenue problem. Peter Obi, counters the federal government and the finance minister over debt and revenue problem. A former governor of Anambra State, Peter Obi, has said that Nigeria's problem is not that of revenue, but of accumulating constant debt. The argument posed by the former governor on Arise TV is on the grounds that the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, said the country's problem was that of revenue accumulation. President Muhammadu Buhari had proposed to spend 16.39 trillion naira next year with a deficit of 6.2 trillion naira. The budget deficit will be financed mainly by new borrowings and of 5.0 trillion, 90.7 billion naira from privatization proceeds and 1.1 trillion naira drawdowns on loans secured for specific development projects. Based on the debt management office statistics, Nigeria has a total public debt of 35.5 trillion naira. Wow, that's a huge debt. Ahmed had on Friday, that is the Minister of Finance, on Friday, during the public breakdown of the 2022 appropriation bill, revealed that Nigeria's debt service GDP, which is gross GDP ratio of 73% as of August 2021, is the highest among African top economies. She had said also this is proof that what we have is not a classic debt sustainability problem but a revenue challenge, and that is why Peter Obi has come and saying it is not a revenue challenge or a revenue problem, but a debt problem. We have resorted to borrowing to finance our fiscal gaps. However, we believe that the debt levels of the federal government are still within sustainable limits. It is unlikely that our recovery from each of the two recessions would have been as fast without the sustained government expenditure funded partly by debt. But Peter Obi argued that we have a debt problem, not revenue problem. Borrowing is not the problem. You can borrow money, but what you use it for and use it for and issues of savings. You can even save when you are also borrowing. But in the case of Nigerians or Nigeria as a whole, President Muhammadu Buhari and his administration are kept on borrowing money, and they have not done anything to get profit from that money, either to save or build infrastructures that will generate revenue. And that is what Peter Obi is just saying, that the problem we have is a debt problem, not even revenue problem. Because when you talk about revenue, those places that the revenue is going, or let me put it this way, as far as Lagos is concerned, Lagos has the highest GDP of revenue, and how effective and productive is that revenue? That's a question. That's another question. So how productive is the revenue? Because that debt is the problem. You keep borrowing, there's no paying back. You're just accumulating debt, accumulating debt rather. So he says it is unlikely that our recovery from each of the two recessions would have been as fast without the sustained government expenditure funded partly by debt. But Peter Obi also argued we have a debt problem and not a revenue problem. Borrowing is not the problem. You can borrow money, but what do you use that money for? And the issue of savings is all around it. You can even save when you are also borrowing. Peter Obi said the issue with the Buhari's administration is the lack of skills to double revenue using available resources. When four ministers said they spent their way out of recession, the first thing you do when you have a recession is that you have to cut your cost. Yes, you cannot continue to live the same way we lived when things were normal. Wow. Okay, that's a point that Obi has put in place. When you keep borrowing and there is recession, I believe the senator kept on increasing their salaries. Even Buhari himself has also not done a good work, because if you tell us you are a president you are a president and president of the country, and you want the betterment of your people or your administration. Cutting down your salary should have been a thing that will be practicalized, not deliberating on it. Instead, the so-called senators will now come. They said they need bulletproof cars, and they need a foreign car. They don't need to patronize the Nigerian-made car, which is the innocent motto. So since they think that is the way out, recession, will come in, and we incurred recession for about 2 times in 4 years or 5 years. That's absurd. Okay, when 4 ministers said they spent their way out of recession, the first thing you do when you have a recession is that you have to cut your cost. Well, you cannot continue to live the same way you lived or we lived when things were normal. You spent your way out of recession. What did we achieve? Before recession, a bag of rice, for example, is about 12,000 naira. We went into recession and we are now out of a recession. It is still 30,000 naira. So what is the plan? What is the problem? And you says the problem is not debt. You are telling us revenue. So Nigerians in the southern part of the country, let me say the southern states, have generated enough revenue. I don't know about the northern part, but as it is, revenue as it is not even a problem. Well, let's continue to buttress more on this point. If you must borrow when you are in recession to come out, you have to throw the money in critical areas that not just pull you out of recession, but can grow your economy and make it work. Can they tell us how it was spent? Yes, that's a question. So if you borrow money and truly the money has been given to you, so how did you spend the money? No accountability. Well, we are not America where people can borrow money to consume. It is a developed economy, yes. But as it is in Nigeria, they borrow money to consume. Why should it be when you have debts all over? Your let me put it this way: no infrastructure, no good roads, no. Okay, if you talk about infrastructure covers so many things. Yes, our refinery, we can easily boast that hey, we have oil, we have natural resources. Do we have what it takes to refine those things? Do we have what it takes to those are natural resources to come to the consumer level, to a finished goods? And that's the question, because you say you borrow money for infrastructure. Instead, you collect debt, or you borrow money to pay debt. You still collect money to pay debt. And that's why our interest, payout of interest rate that we're going to pay out is just 98%. So we only have 2% left. So even if we are producing and we are supplying, we still have 98% interest to pay. Even together with the capital, you see that Nigeria has gone bankrupt. So if you must borrow when you are in recession to come out, you have to throw the money in critical areas that not just pull you out of recession, but can grow your economy and make it work. Can they also tell us how it was being spent, the money they borrowed? We are not America where people can borrow money to consume. It is a developed country. Okay, even if America borrows money and consumes, they know how to go about it to pay, because they still have reserved let me put it as a reservoir that will last them for 50-100 years, and that's not their problem. Well, Peter Obi also said Buhari's quest to reduce the debt service GDP ratio to 50% is not even achievable. So how are they going to do it? So the problem of Nigeria is not even a revenue, it is a debt problem, because we keep borrowing, but we generate revenue definitely in Nigeria, but how are they utilizing it? How do they spend it? That's the question.